Unlike past titles before it, Yakuza Like a Dragon is the first game in the series to delve into the JRPG genre, and while this may turn off a lot of veterans of the series, you can rest easy and know that this is for sure a Yakuza game. Don't let the lighthearted tone fool you. Yakuza Like a Dragon isn't all karaoke and Dragon Kart, it's dark and gritty, thrilling and suspenseful, brutal and chaotic. But there's also layers of tenderness and hardships, personal growth, and the unbreakable bond of friendship. Now, before I get into the story, if you want no spoilers whatsoever, just be aware what I will mention is info provided in trailers and the first chapter of the game. Skip ahead if you want. So the story in Yakuza Like a Dragon takes place in 2001. Well, sort of. Without spoiling much, Kazuga, a member of the Arakawa family, is tasked with taking the blame for a murder. Masumi Arakawa, patriarch of the Arakawa family, asks Kazuga to take the blame. Kazuga views Arakawa as a father figure and easily accepts. However, things don't bode well for Kazuga. He ends up spending 19 years in prison, gets released, and stumbles upon trouble. With many questions swirling in his head and a bullet embedded in his chest, as he wakes up in Yokohama, far from home in Kamurocho, Kazuga sits on a quest to find answers in his family. The city of Yokohama is vast and gorgeous to explore. Thankfully, it wasn't ridiculously huge like other open-world games. It's definitely bigger than Kamurocho, but never became a hassle to go from one place to another. There's still mini-games and random side quests to get lost in. I found myself spending a lot of time in matches in Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown. And to briefly touch on the side quests, they have the same quality as past Yakuza games, ranging from heartfelt moments between a father and son or a story of a man and what's left of his wife. Also, before I forget, there's party banter in the game ranging from hilarious to informative, as sometimes characters will tell more about themselves or provide information on locations, expanding the lore. Ichiban Kazuga is the new main protagonist in the series. He's driven by justice and the desire to help those in need. While he's no Kazuma Kiryu, his debut is memorable and shows a lot of growth and potential. But Kazuga is not alone. He will come across abandoned misfits that make up his party. With their own unique starting job, they are also full of personality. It shows during cutscenes and dialogue, even bonding quests that will provide additional lore, new moves, and jobs. The unlikely crew of an ex-Yakuza, an ex-cop, a homeless doctor, a mama of a hostess bar, and 2 members of criminal organizations all mesh well in this 30 to 40-hour journey. This brings me to the combat of Yakuza Like a Dragon. While on one hand, it's unfortunate to see the Ryoga Gotoku studio ditch the iconic beat-em-up combat system, on the other hand, it's refreshing to see RGG Studio go out of their comfort zone and take a risk with this new direction in combat. This shift in combat turns out quite well. While I love the combat from past titles, and this new combat system isn't flawless, it has what you would expect from a JRPG, but with a few twists. In combat, you can perform basic attacks, skills, and abilities, use items, or call a friend, or in this game's case, a poundmate. These are basically summons that instead of consuming MP to use, it requires you to spend a certain amount of yen. Not only that, but some poundmates are only available at certain times of the day, and have a cooldown after use. In addition to all this, many of them are locked behind side quests. Unfortunately, in my playthrough, I missed a lot of potential poundmates. There's a job system, and if I'm not mistaken, there's around 7 jobs, all having their strengths and weaknesses. I personally assigned jobs to my party based on my liking over what was most effective. On top of the many unlockable jobs, there are special skills you can use, including tag team skills and some skills involving the entire party. There are skills that require you to perform quick-time events similar to past titles in the Yakuza series. You can also interact with objects in battle, but only if you're close by them. Kazuga can pick up or kick objects to attack enemies. However, the rest of the party can only kick objects at enemies and are unable to wield them. Depending on where you and a party member may be in battle, they can perform an additional attack on a downed enemy that doesn't count as a turn. However, there are times where you'll have to be mindful of which enemy you choose to attack, because enemies can stop you from attacking if any of the party members run by non-targeted enemies. This will cancel your attack, thus wasting a turn. One thing that bothered me was sometimes in battle, party members will start about 20 feet away. You'll have to wait for said party member to get in position before they could perform a command. The party can also get stuck on walls or rails, resulting in them walking for about 10 seconds before they teleport to enemies. This probably has to do with your party members being far behind Kazuga while you explore areas. While I wouldn't consider it immersion breaking, I did find it annoying at times. There are rare weapons and armor you can buy, find, or craft within the game. There are also items that can give you permanent stat buffs. Just be sure to have plenty of yen saved because some items and equipment cost a lot of money in this game. There are dungeons, combat arenas, and towers you can soak hours in. I highly recommend taking part in any optional dungeons or combat arenas whenever they become available. The difficulty spike towards the end can be unforgiving if unprepared. Now, I can't say I blame anyone for being turned off by this game being a JRPG. While it was easy for me, being a fan of JRPGs, to get into this installment, I think it would be best for the mainline Yakuza games going forward to remain beat-em-up action games. I'll admit there were times where I wish I could take out some street punks in real time, or freely grab bicycles and take out crowds of enemies. Judgment is a good example of how the RGG studio can freshen up the Yakuza game formula. I'm sure with some tweaks to combat and exploration, they could avoid serious fatigue with fans without having to change genres. I think if Yakuza Like a Dragon was a side game like Yakuza Dead Souls, then I think people would be more open to giving it a chance. So, the graphics for me are a mixed bag. In cutscenes they look amazing. In game, however, they can tend to look kind of blurry and have some low quality textures. Also, it has a strong filter that sometimes can really enhance certain moments, and other times it can be obnoxious. Plus, the in-game filter doesn't match with the filter used in cutscenes, which in my opinion can be a bit jarring. Nonetheless, the visuals still look great. Hopefully RGG are hard at work on a new graphics engine for the next installment in the Yakuza series. As far as the music goes, it's a Yakuza game, so of course the music is going to be great. Filled with pulse-pounding, rich and melodic tracks, and while Yakuza Like a Dragon doesn't have the best soundtrack in the series in my opinion, regardless the soundtrack is still great. Tracks such as Receive and Turn You and Overcoming the Dragon were some of my favorites. While Yakuza Like a Dragon takes the form of a JRPG, Like a Dragon still retains elements that makes the Yakuza series great. And while Kazuga may not be alone, him and his allies find themselves on a thrilling adventure, a journey that takes the heroes through unique and memorable experiences, personal growth, and redemption for Ichiban Kazuga. From the bustling city of Yokohama to the iconic, vivid city of Kamurocho, from new friends to new rivals, Yakuza Like a Dragon throws you into the deep waters, writing a new chapter in the Yakuza series. While Ichiban Kazuga is no Kazuma Kiryu, that's okay, because he is defined by his own actions and his own hardships. He is not a cheap imitation, and whether the next installment in the Yakuza series continues to be a JRPG or go back to its brawling roots, I eagerly await what's next in store for the Rock Bottom Dragon.